Hey, and welcome back to Miss Kitty's Wild West Adventures. You've heard of Billy the Kid. You've heard of Jesse James. But what about one of the most dangerous outlaws ever seen in the Arizona Territory? An outlaw so feared that even the law had to go undercover just to capture him. Meet Augustine Chacón, also known as El Pulido, or the Hairy One. A man whose legend is as wild as the West itself. Born in 1861 in Sonora, Mexico, Chacón didn't start out as an outlaw. He worked as a cowboy, a miner, and even a lawman in Sierra del Tigre. But everything changed in 1890 after a heated dispute over unpaid wages. The argument turned deadly, and after the dust settled, it was discovered that Chacón had killed his employer, Ben Olney, and others. With blood on his hands and a bounty on his head, he rode off into the sunset and into Western legend. From then on, Chacón led a gang that terrorized the U.S.-Mexico border. They weren't just rustling cattle and robbing stores, they were leaving bodies in their wake. Some say Chacón had a personal code, that he only killed those who crossed him. Others say he was a ruthless murderer who boasted of taking more lives than he could count. The truth? Well, that depends on who you ask. One of his most infamous shootouts happened in 1895 in Morenci, Arizona. After looting a general store, Chacón and his men found themselves surrounded by lawmen. A fierce gunfight erupted, bullets flying in every direction. By the time the smoke cleared, bodies littered the street, and Chacón was in handcuffs. This time, it seemed his luck had run out. Sentenced to hang in 1897, Chacón sat in the Solomonville jail waiting for the noose. But if the law thought he was going to accept his fate, they didn't know who they were dealing with. Just days before his execution, Chacón pulled a daring escape. The details are hazy. Some say he had inside help. Others say he used his own wits. But one thing is certain. By the time the guards noticed, he was long gone, vanishing into the horizon like a ghost. For years, he became a phantom of the borderlands, slipping between Mexico and Arizona, always one step ahead of the law. That is until Arizona Ranger Burton Mossman decided enough was enough. Mossman knew he couldn't chase Chacón down. He had to outthink him. So he did something crazy. He went undercover, posing as an outlaw and gaining the trust of Chacón's associates. Then, with the help of the equally notorious outlaw-turned-informant Bert Alvord, Mossman lured Chacón back into Arizona. When the time was right, Mossman made his move. In a tense standoff, Chacón reached for his gun, but he was outdrawn. And just like that, the most wanted man in the Arizona Territory was captured without a single shot fired. This time, there was no escape. On November 21, 1902, Augustine Chacón stepped onto the gallows in Solomonville. As the crowd watched, he delivered a final speech. Some say he admitted to his crimes. Others claim he maintained his innocence until the very end. Either way, moments later, the trap door swung open, and one of the last great outlaws of the Wild West was gone. Or was he? Legends of Chacón still ride on, whispered in the border towns where he once ruled. Some claim he buried treasure in the hills. Others believe his ghost still haunts the desert. Chacón was feared by some and admired by others. But here's a question for you. If you had lived in Arizona during his reign, would you have seen him as a dangerous outlaw or a necessary rebel? Leave a comment down below. And that, dear viewers, is the story of Augustine Chacón, a man whose life was as wild as the Wild West itself. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Miss Kitty's Wild West Adventures. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and ding the bell for notifications. And in the meantime, I'll catch you on down the trail.